You play your whole career trying to do this, and it took me a long time to get to the playoffs, and now we're one win away. We win in Adelaide, we get a ring.
Swamped by fans at today's big breakfast, Ben Kennedy's broken hand got a real workout by fans. While not a fitness test, his name is on the starting list to play the Sharks, along with Josh Perry.
Both are probably 50-50, I guess, to play on Friday.
Tamana Tahu also returns after missing a game for the birth of his son, while Anthony Quinn looks to have sewn up the wing spot for some time yet. Sean Rudder and Bill Peden carry niggles, but should play.
I think the physical nature of the game last week was what we needed for this week's game against Cronulla. It's going to be very similar.
The clashes between Andrew Johns and Brett Comorley are always interesting, but that matchup has largely been overshadowed this week as the two brothers shape up.
If I smash him, I'm not real worried about Matty or Mum or Dad. It's his wife Trisha I'm worried about.
No laughing matter for the coach, who knows the dangers of circling Sharks, and there will be little time for reunions out in the middle.
The boys will be delighted to see Matty before and after the game, but while the game's on, it mightn't be too friendly.
Neither will Adam McDougall. Upon news late today, he's destined to miss the rest of the season, with his damaged knee requiring a reconstruction. McDougall hinted yesterday he may retire if the injury was too severe. Jim Callanan, NBN News.
As United heads into uncharted water, there's a feeling of confidence ahead of Saturday night's major semi-final against the Perth Glory.
We've shown throughout the season that no one's really fazed us in any game. In fact, we've led twice against Perth in previous occurrences, and they've had to come back late in the last couple of minutes.
And Bailey is quick to play down claims that former Breakers captain Shane Price is out to spoil United's party.
I think we're going over there to spoil their party, actually, because they're under more pressure than us to perform over there rather than us.
United has been labelled as a defensive team by many clubs in the league, a claim Ian Crook has no problem defending.
I think there was a period, I think after about 18 or 19 games, somebody gave me some stats. We'd had more shots on goal than any other side, including Perth in the league. So you don't do that by just sitting back and defending.
A 17-man squad has been named to travel to Perth, but with injuries still hanging over Daniel Beltrame, Alex Moriera and Robbie Middleby, Crook is leaving his decisions until the last minute.
And we'll make the final decision on the makeup of the bench when we get over there.
But one thing remains certain.
Everyone's nervous. Everyone's excited.
Stephen Mount, NBN News.
Of the 3,000 pregnant women admitted to both hospitals, a shocking 25% smoked while pregnant, an act causing premature birth or small birth weight.
If you smoke while you're pregnant, you double the risk of SIDS. And if your partner also smokes, so the baby's father also smokes, you increase the risk by 4 times.
Smoking outside after the baby is born doesn't nullify the risk. A study proving that residue from smoke is transferred to babies through hands and clothes. 19-year-old Michelle Granger, who prematurely gave birth to Shani at 27 weeks, says she's now determined to get her boyfriend, who's a smoker, to quit.
Yeah, I've been trying to encourage him now, but it's a little bit hard for him. But he does want to.
While many parents now know to sleep their babies on their back to help reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, the SIDS and Kids group is kickstarting a new awareness campaign.
It's really important that the baby back sleeps on a firm, well-fitting mattress, and that's so that the mattress is well-fitting against the sides of the cot so that the baby can't slip down between the mattress and the side of the cot.
Sue Ellen Robinson lost her baby Daniel to SIDS in 1990 when information about SIDS was rare.
We didn't have a chance to be able to do something that could possibly have prevented our child's death. So it's a way of preventing a horrible nightmare.
Vanessa Trezise, NBN News.
While teammates got time for breakfast, it took a while longer for Alex Moriera and Robbie Middleby to check in this morning. Both requested a seat that allowed them to stretch their legs. The Brazilian carries a knee injury, while Middleby has strained a hamstring.
It's just seized up on me, and these sort of trips, makes it a little bit worse. So, we've got these special pants on at the moment, and hopefully it'll do the job for it.
Moriera still has a fitness test to face in Perth.
I need to feel very well, and the recovery very good. I think it'll be all right.
Goalkeeper Daniel Beltrame has to prove his fitness as well after twisting his knee last week, but his confidence has grown on the back of solid training runs this week.
I don't feel too bad. It's been a bit slow in the recovery process, but things are getting better. I've been seeing the physio and been training pretty hard on it, so I think it'll come through all right.
The big keeper was on the bench when Wollongong played in front of 40,000 screaming Perth fans in last season's semi-final series, while Robbie was in the middle. They're the only two United players who really know what to expect.
Having a big crowd like that can also work against you, and I think if we play well and positive and they're on the back foot a bit, I think the crowd will actually be against them.
A lot of them haven't played finals football before, but I think the adrenaline and the 40,000 people over there will just lift everyone.
Jim Callanan, NBN News. Unable to run all week, time caught up with Sean Rudder today with the 5/8 ruled out. It seemed Kurt Gidley would come straight in for the number 6, and while it appears he'll have some time there during the game, big brother Matthew will have first go opposite Matthew Johns.
It's worked out pretty funny actually because I filled in for a few times when Matty was injured when he was playing here, but I'm looking forward to it. He's a good mate of mine. And
Ben Kennedy may have looked like he could play with one hand today, but he knows that won't do tomorrow night. Daniel Abraham will now start, while giant youngster Trent Estetheo gets his second chance off the bench in as many weeks, after he was a last-minute inclusion against the Roosters.
Well, each training session I feel a lot more comfortable, and on Friday night it was made a lot more easier by the players around me.
One of those will be Josh Perry. He returns to the starting side after an ankle injury.
I can't let him play too good. He might take me spot.
But the big prop knows his biggest concern comes in the form of a shark called Jason Stevens.
Probably another good chance for me to prove myself, and me and Matty as well. We've got to step up the Stevens and that, so it'll be a good game.
There was a community backlash when the original proposal was released earlier this year. Property owners concerned by the proposed changes to the local environment plan lodged several thousand submissions during the initial public comment period. Residents group Fair Go has today called for the revised plan to be displayed for 90 days rather than the usual 4 weeks.
Around 200 protesters rallied outside the AGM, unions demanding that the mining giant reinstate 206 workers. 108 miners from the Hunter Valley No. 1 mine, 82 from Mount Thorley and 16 from the Blair Ethel mine in Queensland. All miners have lodged unfair dismissal cases. The Industrial Relations Commission has so far heard 3 and found in favour of the workers, but Rio Tinto has appealed all 3.
This company is a $60 billion company. It can litigate these workers to death. 3 have already died waiting for justice.
That's the way Rio Tinto operate. They get rid of the union activists, bust down collective bargaining, put people on individual contracts and get people under the company's control.
A guard of honour was formed for union leaders attending today's AGM as shareholders. Federal MPs Kerry Hickey and Kelly Hall also used proxy votes to attend, while outside, member for the Hunter Joel Fitzgibbon addressed the crowd.
People who for 2 and 3 years now had their lives put on hold because of the bastardry of Rio Tinto.
But some good news, Rio Tinto has agreed to several conciliation meetings over the next 3 weeks. It's hoped a deal over compensation and some re-employment will be struck. Vanessa Trezise, NBN News.
It literally shakes the ground just rumbling in. This 57 Chev is a replica of Victor Bray's actual title-winning drag racing machine, but that one's for business, this one's for play, or more to the point, for burnouts.
This is so much fun it should be made illegal.
He can even take passengers, but we were happy just to take his word. With around 2,500 horsepower to call on, the engine sucks up 16 gallons of methanol per minute while burning special compound 21-inch tyres. Not economical, but we're told great fun. Bray will unleash his machine tomorrow night at Newcastle Speedway.
You'd be forgiven for thinking these works are those of professionals. In fact, they are the cream of last year's visual arts HSC students.
Yes, it's a selection of the top 10% from all works that were submitted in New South Wales, and there was over 8,000, so certainly it was very competitive to be selected for this prized exhibition.
And it seems Newcastle students have again featured highly. Works by Shay Boardman, Dean Cotter, Cressida Green, Brooke Harvey and Melina Sumanovsky all made the cut. For the first time ever, each student had to submit a body of work rather than a single piece.
This year reflects a change in the art syllabus where students are asked to submit bodies of work rather than individual work. So I think it's really fascinating that you get to see all the work that the students produced, or a bulk of it, and you get to see where they've started and where they're going.
And if previous years are anything to go by, Art Express will again be the gallery's most popular exhibition, expected to draw a crowd of 15,000.
It's a great time in the gallery. It's always busy and exciting. It's such a diverse show. There's something in this show for everyone, from paintings and sculpture to the more contemporary works in film and video.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
It's becoming an all too familiar sight, a police officer injured while on duty. Today, officers returned to the John Hunter Hospital to comfort their mate. The drama began shortly before 7 last night when the senior constable was involved in a high-speed pursuit of a stolen vehicle, a Ford Falcon station wagon. The chase lasted almost half an hour, beginning at Cessnock and ending in the nearby town of Neath. After arresting the passenger in the car, the 38-year-old officer then went to interview the driver.
As he's reached in, he's asked the driver to get out of the vehicle and he's driven off.
It's believed he was dragged nearly 20 metres. Initially, it was feared he had spinal injuries.
But we're happy to report now that those injuries have been downgraded to moderate injuries. He has significant soft tissue damage and significant pain and lacerations to his leg.
Police say the driver, Christopher Dawson, was later arrested in nearby Western. He appeared in Maitland Court today with his brother Glenn, who was the passenger in the station wagon. The court was told the officer knew the driver and pleaded for him to stop. The officer said, "Chris, stop the car, stop the car." The police prosecutor told the court the officer and his family had an expectation that when he left for work last night, he would come home. He also said they had an expectation he would not be found on the side of the road and flown to hospital. Both men were remanded in custody and will appear in Newcastle Court on Monday. Lyndall Derrick, NBN News.
Bell 412 SP has been the public face of the Hunter Region Rescue Helicopter Service for almost a decade. Christened Angel 1, the aircraft was purchased in 1993 from the Toyota Motor Company and upgraded from corporate carrier to emergency service helicopter. However, it had to be given long service leave mid-last year for an upgrade to be undertaken.
Well, it's been rewired, which hasn't been attempted anywhere else in the world. It's also been in conjunction with quite a major refit, a repaint, and some other major work, a 3,000 hourly inspection. So, you know, it's been very substantial, and we were over budget, but there's things that needed to be done that just had to be done while the machine was in pieces.
The work took 9 months to complete, with a Victorian-owned aircraft leased to deputise for the larger of the two local helicopters. While Angel 1 is now back on the front line, service management do have their eye on the future and the possible need to replace it in the next decade.
In 10 years' time, this machine will be 30 years old, so it will still be serving us very well then, but we'll have to look at what our demands will be in another 10 years' time. Who knows what that will be, and government and contract requirements.
Gary Blair, NBN News.
The Premier Hockey competition has breathed new life into the sport in both the Hunter and on the Central Coast. And with games like the Phoenix North-West match, it's easy to see why. West got things going through Nick Fraser before taking a 2-goal lead. But the Newcastle Premiers hit back in double time. Dave Willett's first halved the lead, while a second soon had them back on level terms. A simple tap-in and they were in the lead. The match eventually ended in a 3-3 draw. In round 3 Black Diamond AFL, Terrigal Avoca trounced Killarney Vale, Newcastle City defeated West Newcastle Wallsend, Nelson Bay too good for Warners Bay, and Cardiff overwhelmed Gosford. And Charlestown's emphatic victory against the fancied Sydney side Marylands has kept the Tigers' hopes of a top 6 finish in the Premier League Lawn Bowls competition well and truly alive. The weekend not the best for other Hunter-based clubs, with Windale Gateshead slipping further down the ladder, as did Beresfield and Maitland City. A simple yet passionate plea from the coach: stay positive and don't give up. It seemed to rub off, the side as competitive as ever at training, with the second leg semi-final mission considered not so impossible. It still sounds it. While they must score 3, the opposing sheet must be kept clean. Andy Roberts didn't train today, saving his legs for a new role in the team where he'll play out wide, pushing forward.
Provide some good crosses and maybe get into chances where I might be able to score a goal or 2, or maybe 3.
That's the magic number Perth don't like to hear after that grand final loss to Wollongong.
Obviously, if we score 1, there could be a bit of sportsmanship out there and going, here we go again sort of thing to them. But, you know, we'll see what happens to them after we do bag 1 early.
Bingley could well start in a remodelled defensive position in the team that'll most likely start with 3 strikers as they hunt for quick goals.
Whatever team we put out, we'll be going out there to get 3 goals.
A scare for goalkeeper Daniel Beltrame late in this morning's session, the big keeper copping a knock to his thigh. He's only just recovered from a knee injury, but it's not thought to be serious. Jim Callanan, NBN News. Never before had the kids of Cessnock wished they could sneak into the pub. Inside, the Knights, enjoying something of a more traditional training session. Tasting the sponsors' brew today, they've never toasted a success in Brisbane.
I think we'd all like to break the duck up there at some stage. It's been 15 years in the making.
It's a bugbear all Knights would like to put to sleep, but peaceful is the last way to describe the venue they'll be playing at.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while, and I read somewhere they're going to get a really big crowd. It's on sort of about 40,000, so I haven't played against South for a couple of years, so I can't wait.
Named today, Sean Rudder, Josh Perry and Matt Parsons will be put through their paces tomorrow in order to play in a match that all will be tested in a style similar to interstate representative clashes.
You can feel that they're going to lift for us, it's such a big game and both undefeated. They'll be pumped up. But so to be similar to an Origin, it's going to be fairly fast and fairly physical.
Brisbane, meanwhile, have lost Petro Sivanasiva, but have a fired-up Gordon Tallis ready to tackle the Premiers.
Especially this year with Steve Simpson and Ben Kennedy getting a lot of reps. I know Gordon will be stewing over that. He'll come out nice and hard.
My surfing feels fine. I just took a couple of waves just to get back into the kind of competitive heat strategy.
Midnight marks the start of increased police presence on roads across the state. Until midnight Sunday, the penalty for not wearing a seatbelt will double to 6 demerit points, meaning a driver who doesn't buckle up and has an unrestrained passenger will automatically lose their licence. Double demerit points also apply for speeding.
Some people just don't get the message any other way, and people need 12 points on their licence to hold their licence, and the double demerits is an incentive to comply with the road rules.
Already this year, 168 people have lost their lives on New South Wales roads, 23 more than this time last year. Seatbelt offences have been listed as a major factor in 141 fatal accidents on Northern Region roads alone. With the Anzac Day holiday coinciding with the end of school holidays, police are pleading with drivers to help prevent further tragedy.
Over the long weekend, we want everyone to obey the road rules, not speed, and definitely wear seatbelts. The four main concerns for the police are speeding, people not wearing seatbelts, alcohol and fatigue. So we really want everyone to do the right thing.
Stephen Mount, NBN News, late edition.
The Knights have never defeated the Broncos on Brisbane soil, but Newcastle is in outstanding form, winning 6 out of 6 in convincing fashion. But Brisbane isn't in bad shape either. It's won 5 games with 1 draw, second to Newcastle on the table.
We're playing with a fair bit of confidence, so we can go there expecting a good performance. We'd like to think we can go in as slight favourites, which would be unheard of before going to Brisbane.
At training today, Captain Andrew Johns was confident.
We've got Ben Kennedy coming back, who is a huge plus for us, and just the way the team's going, I think we're travelling really well. Fingers crossed, I hope Sivanasiva gets suspended. That'll help us out.
Prop forward Matt Parsons today proved he could cope with his ankle injury. Josh Perry also overcame his hip problem. But bad news for Sean Rudder, bowing out with an ankle injury. This is the side that will square up against the Broncos, with Matt Gidley now as 5'8" and John Morris off the bench and on the wing. Julian Bailey moving onto the bench. The match sure to attract the interest of State of Origin selectors.
Well, I think definitely there's probably about 6 of us who are definitely going to get a start. And then you've got to think of blokes like Parso and Josh Perry. Mark Hughes has got to be a chance at fullback. He did let no one down last year.
Vanessa Trezise, NBN News. Some time out from training for Newcastle United players who today attended a supporters' lunch at their clubhouse. A special video presentation showed some of the team's inspirational moments this season, a far cry from last weekend's demoralising loss to Perth Glory 4-1. The team face an uphill battle to beat Perth Glory in a return leg game to be contested at Energy Australia Stadium on Friday night. They must win by 3 goals, something no team has done against Perth.
No, we're talking very difficult, but not impossible.
Coach Ian Cook says his team will hone in on Perth's danger players.
Well, the obvious ones in Despotowski and Murray. They've been the ones that have scored an abundance of their goals this season. But I think that the strengths that they have got is that they've not got many weaknesses.
We've got to score the 3 goals, but for them to sit back and try and just defend against us, obviously would be, playing out of their hands. So they'll still probably come out and try and score against us, which we're hoping they do, because they'll open the game up a little bit. But for spectators, it'd be fantastic.
If United win by the margin required, they'll have an automatic grand final berth. If they lose, they can still make the grand final through an elimination game next Sunday on their home ground. Vanessa Trezise, NBN News.
Perth Glory had their first look today at Energy Australia Stadium in more than 4 months, in readiness for Friday night's crucial clash. The Glory have easily been the best team this season and go into the match against United as short-priced favourites to win the prize of hosting the NSL Grand Final. But coach Mish Davray and his Chargers don't share the opinion of many who believe that all the team has to do is turn up to secure victory.
If we do go out with that attitude tomorrow night, then we could come unstuck.
The same team that gave United a 4-1 drubbing last weekend in Perth will take to the field tomorrow night, and coach Davray says his team will stick to their attacking game plan.
We're a team that like to go forward, we like to score goals, so I don't see why we're going to change it. Obviously Newcastle have to come at us, so really if they're going to attack us and we're going to attack them, could be a good shootout.
Leading from the front will be strikers Damien Murray and Bobby Despotowski, who between them have scored 32 goals this season. The latter has picked up 14 and is hoping to add to that tomorrow. But he's only too aware that going into the game with a 3-0 lead doesn't guarantee success.
We've been in this position before and we lost the game on the penalties against Wollongong in the grand final. So I can tell you one thing, we won't be going into the game without putting 100%, that's for sure.
Cullen Robinson, NBN News. Usual attack.
Unless alternative arrangements are made by the end of May, there'll be an additional 160 trucks on the road transporting coal 5 days a week, either on the F3 freeway or the Pacific Highway. It's a proposal which the region's civic leaders and MPs have vowed to fight all the way.
The cost to the community in terms of wear and tear on roads, in terms of amenity on the roads and safety on the roads, needs to be held in very high regard, and it is, I can say that.
Local representatives will try to keep the Wallara running beyond its end of May deadline until all the coal at Catherine Hill Bay is exhausted. While other options are also being assessed, mining company Lake Coal has been urged to take ownership of the problem.
They need to be part of the solution, and to be part of the solution they need to understand that it's their problem as well as the community's problem.
Lake Coal has proposed a transport solution, including spreading the truck movements over several different routes. They'll also seek a more efficient arrangement with Port Waratah coal services and are examining using the YE rail loop. Further meetings will be held on the issue over the coming months. A commitment in writing is also being sought from Lake Coal. Lyndall Derrick, NBN News.
The push to have Energy Australia Stadium upgraded has been long in the making. Both governments have been well aware of it and actually assisted the Trust in refining its original proposal. In short, the request is to fund half of the $44 million required that will see the stadium transformed into a 25,000 all-seat venue in 3 stages. If that's agreed to, then work could well start by September. On field, there is always plenty of heat on referees, but Newcastle and district whistleblowers have been backed in a new 3-year sponsorship deal. From under-7s games right through to first grade, the man or woman in the middle will be covered by M&H Air. In top local league action this weekend, South head to the Terrace to take on the undefeated Magpies tomorrow, while the clash of the Coalfields will be a highlight as well. On Sunday, Macquarie and West are both at home. In Newcastle Rugby Union, the match of round 4 looks to be the Hamilton Hawks clash with the Waratahs. Merewether, Maitland, Nelson Bay and Eastern Districts all play at home in their matches. Edgeworth and Western play tonight in the NBN Soccer League with 1 game tomorrow, with the Hamilton-Adamstown match taking top billing as action rounds out on Sunday.
Just a few weeks ago, Joel Parkinson was the toast of the surfing world, claiming the Quicksilver Pro at his home break. Today it was a far different story. The 21-year-old dejected after bowing out of this week's qualifying series event at the hands of B. Durbidge, a stunning array of barrel rides sealing his passage through.
I've had a bit of luck in this comp so far. I've had waves nearly in every heat, so that's been good.
If his wave selection was good, Jared Morell's was outstanding. Up against former world number 5 Tim Curran, the unseeded Newcastle surfer took it right to the champ, snatching the biggest victory of his short career.
It's a bit of a surprise, but all the same, I think I'm as good a chance as anyone else is taking it out.
These security camera pictures showed 2 of the bandits, which entered the 7-Eleven at around 12:30 this morning. One of the men threatened the service station attendant with a piece of wood and later hit him in the arm. The men escaped with an undisclosed amount of cash, cigarettes and phone cards. Police say all men were wearing black. The first man is described as being 180 centimetres tall, of slim build with a light reddish beard, while the second man is described as being 156 centimetres tall, with a slim build aged between 23 and 25. They're urging anyone with information to contact Raymond Terrace detectives or Crime Stoppers. Meanwhile, vandals have attacked valuable demolition equipment at the Green Hills Shopping Centre at East Maitland. The damage bill is estimated at around $7,000.
Well, the last couple of days we're probably around about 18 windows broken in the cranes and the excavators. There could be a few more with the other cranes on the other site there next door to ours.
It's believed the vandalism took place on Anzac Day. It's the latest in a series of attacks on Steepletons. The company is now trying to find those responsible by offering a reward.
There is a reward of $5,000 of information leading to the person convicted of this offence.
Lyndall Derrick, NBN News.
Needing a 3-0 win or better to take the tie, Newcastle stood united in the face of what seemed an impossible task. From the opening, the home side began convincing themselves and the 17,500 fans that they could do it. A chance gone, Alex Moriera tried to make up for it as Newcastle kept attacking. Perth's play a little off-key, while Newcastle just didn't miss a beat. A Salamassi's header right on cue. One goal down, 2 still required, and Newcastle just didn't let up. Unable to slow United's front men, Perth's defence found new ways to stop them. But you can't keep a good man down for long. Massey beating 2 before firing a shot that sent shockwaves all the way back to Perth. Perth tried every trick in the book. Goalkeeper Jason Petkovic made it into the referees for wasting time. His opposite Daniel Beltrame wasn't called on until after half-time, while Petkovic really earned his pay at the other. Newcastle attacked in waves as the Glories scrambled with good luck and good management. Off the bench for the first time in weeks, Daniel McBreen's suit had a chance to make it 3. Losing 2-0, Perth will still host the grand final. United get another chance to qualify next weekend.
Look, I think basically everybody's picked Perth to play either Olympic or South Melbourne, so hopefully we can dispel that rumour.
It's a popular destination for tourists and adventurers, and it was while these two men were climbing a face at the Tomaree headland yesterday that they discovered the bones.
Saw the skull first, didn't quite look real though.
They're pretty much just all scattered all over the shop, like there's no sort of arrangement to them.
The pair were back today to direct police to the exact location. Rescue crews then faced the tough task of abseiling down the treacherous cliff to find the ledge where the bones were first spotted. The Polair helicopter surveyed the scene from the air, while a forensic pathologist waited patiently for the bones to be recovered. Once they finally were, police say the skeletal remains included a number of large bones and a skull. Because the skull was found with fillings in its teeth, police say this will help speed up the identification process. But the process is still expected to take several days.
We'll be checking missing persons records as well as dental records for people who have been reported to us as missing.
Lyndall Derrick, NBN News.
Nestled in a valley surrounded by rugged sandstone cliffs and a national park, James Estate seems like any other Upper Hunter winery. But it's just been recognised as the fastest growing business in the region.
I guess it's a dream coming true. People, dream that this could happen to them, and I guess that we're making it happen.
The winery has been owned and managed by David James for 5 years, but in only the last 12 months has grown 15-fold.
It's hard for small wine companies in Australia to get recognition, and I think that the employees at James Estate have really put in exceptional effort in the last 3 years to grow this business to where it is. And it's good to be recognised.
In a short period of time, the company has set some standards for the wine industry, and not just with its product. The company still uses old-style fermenting techniques and the latest technology, but also has a fresh approach to marketing itself. James Estate Wines last year opened an office in the United States and secured a deal to supply wine to the world's biggest supermarket chain, Safeway. But despite having access to floor space in American bottle shops, the brand has struggled to gain the same respect in Australia.
We're fighting very hard for shelf space in Australia, which is a difficult thing for a mid-sized wine company to get. But no doubt if we keep getting the following from the public that we are, the large supermarket chains will have to put us in Australia.
Cullen Robinson, NBN News.
Opposition leader John Brogden, along with a contingent of fellow Liberals, couldn't help but see the funny side of bumping into Labor member for Newcastle, Bryce Gaudry, today. Brogden spent his time meeting police and community leaders.
Newcastle has over 170 licensed premises, of which over 60 are licensed for 24 hours a day, and the local people here, local councillors and local police have told me there is an explosion of crime related to alcohol.
The Liberal leader focused attention on 5 police stations: Belmont, Charlestown, Toronto, Wallsend and Raymond Terrace. He made a mistake in an early radio interview, calling for the stations to be reopened, but then set the record straight.
If I got my words mixed between reopen and restaff, I'm sorry. The reality is that we'll be restaffing these police stations. And let's not forget this simple fact. Under the Labor government, they have downgraded police stations and they've taken police off the beat.
The Police Minister pouncing.
Unfortunately, John Brogden's got it wrong. He needs to do his homework before he makes these sorts of claims.
Mr Brogden mirrored Michael Costa's promise for more police on the beat. The opposition leader also met with representatives of the Newcastle Knights and promised if the Liberal Party wins power in March next year, it will match any kind of funding commitment of the Carr government to upgrade the Energy Australia Stadium. Vanessa Trezise, NBN News.
It was very much the end of an era at Lake Macquarie today, commercial fishermen coming ashore having made their final catch. And few appreciated the historical significance better than Clary Wynne, the 85-year-old part of a family that's fished for 5 generations.
Well, it'll be a sad time because people wanting more fish all the time, and we're going to be reduced the quantity of fish going to the market.
Mr Wynne retired a couple of years ago, while some of the 30-odd licence holders will focus on other pursuits, like his grandson Jared, who's already at university.
I'm not looking to go into another fishery or anything like that, so just looking to continue my degree and hopefully get out there into the workforce.
Wayne Price is among those who will swap waterways, but he'll miss Lake Macquarie.
It's just a lifestyle and a bit of fun, and if you made some money on the way through, it was good.
While the Mannering Park Fishing Co-op will close its doors after 40 years, the one at Swansea will stay open, taking fish supplies from Tuggerah and Newcastle.
Well, it's a sad day today. I've shook hands with a few fishermen, which I probably won't see again for a while.
Many were handing in their licences today. New South Wales Fisheries maintains the buyout aims to preserve the waterway's resources, resulting in better recreational fishing and better conservation. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
Newcastle United is just 90 minutes away from a historic grand final berth. The players have attributed much of this year's success to their supporter base, especially the 17,000 last Friday.
Just when they were cheering Newcastle United was just unbelievable. It got to a stage where you really couldn't hear yourself yelling out to other players, and it just uplifted everybody.
It's even fair to say some players were a little overwhelmed.
Friday nights was just unbelievable. It took me 2 days just to settle down from it.
And Sunday will be much the same.
In the first 36 hours, we are on track to break that 18,000 crowd. All early indications are very, very positive.
But one step at a time. Coach Ian Crook says United's opponents are the NSL surprise package.
They're a tough side to play against Olympic because you don't know what you're going to get in terms of their attacking ability, very, very much off the cuff.
Crook has named a 17-man squad to take on the Olympic Sharks, including injured midfielder Robbie Middleby, who will be given until the 11th hour to prove his fitness.
Be a brave man to leave Robbie Middleby out of a Newcastle side, and certainly Joey as well in terms of how he's performed through the year. So, like to give them as long as possible just to see if they are right.
This is what Jesmond Public School pupils have to contend with for their annual cross-country and athletics carnivals. For the past 3 years, police have been called upon to temporarily block Newcastle Road, so the 200 kindergarten to Year 6 students can safely negotiate one of the city's main arterial routes.
We have to let the police know weeks in advance. We use them as minimally as possible because they've always got the proviso that if they can't be there because of a robbery or whatever, then we're basically stranded.
The school, which is located in nearby Ralph Street, is calling on the RTA to build a pedestrian bridge over the roadway so that the local community and the pupils can have better access to the park.
There's a lot of work we could do in science, in creative writing, in art. If we could get over here, we'd certainly love to be able to use it, but at this stage we can't.
While police are happy to help out and don't describe the section of road as an accident black spot, the RTA says it recognises the concerns of the school and will be investigating the site. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
In the latest March figures, there were a staggering 5 assaults a day in Newcastle, with street crime and domestic violence on the rise in the past 2 years. Alcohol is a major factor. For their part, licensees argue trouble sometimes erupts when they're trying to do the right thing and serve alcohol responsibly.
We do refuse entry to our premise, which sometimes can cause to agitation. Sometimes on our premise when a customer has been refused service because they appear to be intoxicated. Again, an incident like that can happen.
Newcastle's licensees today met with police to work together on measures to ensure safer streets. One of those key strategies is the reintroduction of private security guards patrolling CBD streets, funded by licensees and local businesses. Other strategies include increased police patrols and operations, better public transport and preventing cheap drink offers that encourage binge drinking. But the two most controversial suggestions are a lockdown of licensed venues, where after 3 a.m, if you leave, there's no coming back, and closing major clubs and pubs early at 3 or 4 a.m.
Currently we see a lot of the late night nightclubs closing at 5 a.m. That impacts on how they get home, just that extra hour of being out and drinking, police trying to deal with situations at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the night. It's about an image situation from Newcastle.
The strategies will now be passed on for discussion by Newcastle's Liquor Accord Group. Vanessa Trezise, NBN News.
Takes the ball, and there is the final whistle. Olympic are into the grand final. The season is over for Newcastle.
In his first season as coach, Ian Crook could still toast to a successful season.
You know, the boys have done fantastic all year, and I've got nothing but good words to say about them. You know, it just didn't fall our way today, and good luck to Olympic for next week. I think when we sit down in the cold light of day and look at what we've achieved this year, then I think that the players can be hugely proud of themselves.
Most in the United camp are just coming to terms with the fact their season is over.
I was devastated, and I've lost the grand final. I never felt that bad after yesterday. I was just gut-wrenched.
I feel really empty this morning, really empty.
With a pre-season goal of just reaching the top 6, Newcastle exceeded everyone's expectations by qualifying second for the playoffs. It didn't help much at full time yesterday.
I just went around to all the boys and just thanked them very much. You know, I was very proud, and you know, they all should be proud of themselves.
The United skipper is scheduled in for groin surgery within the month. The Socceroos squad for the Oceania Cup should be released before that, with Robbie Middleby's name on it.
Robbie Middleby will be penciled in. He's struggling a little bit, but I think by the time that we get training again in July, he should be okay. So he'll be included in the squad.
Farina rates Milan Blagojevic a big chance as well. The midfielder highly praised by his club coach too, but it's the performance of big goalkeeper Daniel Beltrame that pleased Ian Crook most this season.
It's been exceptional, and I think he can go away with this with some big raps.
The coach will enjoy a week off, but is already headhunting for next season. Talks with South Melbourne's Vaughan Coveney set to recommence this week.
Jock Graham's going to be talking to Vaughan over the next day or so. We'll be also making an approach to, funny enough, to Joel Griffiths' twin, to Adam.
An English-based player has also been contacted, but for now it's rest and relaxation before tackling the business left unfinished this season.
Up to 200 people attended a public meeting at Raymond Terrace on Saturday to be briefed on the draft environmental impact statement for the Hawk lead-in fighter. The report covers the aircraft's use of the Williamtown base and the neighbouring Saltash weapons range. Written comments to be considered by Canberra have to be lodged by May 27.
You could hardly get the country jumper out of John Morris's hands, save only for when he met the coach, Brian Smith. After just 15 first-grade games, most of those off the bench, it was a surprise. He won't be shocked, though, to see mates from his hometown of Scone make the trek to Wagga.
My brother organises bus loads to come down to Marathon, and all the boys get down there and get up on the hill, and they really enjoy it, so I wouldn't be surprised if a few of the Scone boys are there on Friday night.
He'll have plenty of support just in the team. 8 Knights are in the side and Paul Harrigan is assistant coach. Just why Matt Gidley is required to play is another question, but one sidestepped by the Kangaroo centre today.
To be honest, I didn't really look into it too much or worry too much about it. I didn't even know what the format was for country and city, that sort of thing. So I just worry about playing each week, and then if I get picked in the team, I get picked.
Forwards Matt Parsons, Steve Simpson and Josh Perry were all past fit to play. While the rep players had their medicals, there were some unlikely-looking lifesavers at Nobby's Beach in Newcastle. Those Knights that remain enjoyed a relaxed training session on the sand.
I was just driving down here and just thought how good it is, and nice day, so a bit of beach stuff today and take it easy for a couple of days.
After a tough 8 weeks and with New South Wales Origin duty ahead, Badiris is looking forward to this weekend off.
It's been a real successful 8 weeks for the team, and we're sort of sitting pretty good at the moment, so it's a good chance for us to just sit back and take it easy for a couple of days.
Sitting 11th on Australia's ranking for welterweights may not sound all that impressive at first, but when you consider Kostya Tszyu, Shannon Taylor and Justin Rousel share the same division, just making the top 10 is an achievement. That's where Chad Bennett soon hopes to be, but first he takes on Sydney's Mark Hipwell this Friday night at Mayfield.
It's going to be my hardest test to date. He's a very good amateur and he's moving through the professional ranks pretty quickly.
Bennett's slowly working his way to a title bout and knows every step offers bigger challenges.
It's definitely going to help me because if I am to challenge for titles and such, I have to get longer fights under my belt.
On the same night in Gosford, Newcastle heavyweight Bob Mirovic will take on Gold Coaster Colin Wilson. The two-time national champion actually broke the ribs of a sparring partner last week and won't be holding anything back for the visiting Southpaw.
Colin will be a very tough competitor,
but I am very confident. I've done all my homework and I've done all the hard training, and I just can't wait for the night.
It's certainly one of those things. It doesn't matter how many times it happens. It's still a miracle, you know, and certainly a proud father.
Yeah, my best jump for the season was 2:25. That's my personal best. So I'm hoping to jump, say 2:28, that sort of region. That would put me in line for a medal.